morning, students. In the last class we are reading about the regional variation in population growth. We are on chapter 1 of part B of NCERT textbook, that is India's people and economy. So in this chapter we are reading about the regional variation in population growth. So let's see it. Under this slide itself is given that it is all about the growth rate of population in terms of percentage, and different regions of India are divided by different or are shown by different seeds, like above 25% of growth is shown in Bihar, Arunachal Pradesh and Meghalaya, and less than 10% of growth rate is shown in this part, Kerala, Goa is there, and this Nagaland, state of Nagaland. These three states of India, these three large states of India is having a population growth rate less than 10% in 2011 census. So we had seen the different states having population growth rate. Then we had read about the phases of different phases of population growth. Now we are reading about the regional variation in population growth. Herein we also studied about the states having larger state having a low rate of growth of population, and in all of that low rate of population growth carrying states, Kerala is among the lowest and having a growth rate of 9.4% only. Then we had seen about the continuous pattern or a continuous build from west to east, and we are on the important aspects of adolescent age group of population, that is in the age group of 10 to 19 years, which carries approximately 21% of the total population of India according to 2011 census. And in that 21%, even 52.7% are the male adolescent, and rest 47.3% are female adolescents. So the first thing which you need to know under this topic is the why we are studying these things. You all used to hear the concept of favorable demographic dividend. What it is all about? What are the favorable demographic dividend? Why India is considered to be one of the country having a very favorable demographic dividend. So these all the things which we are going to discuss today is all related with it. So favorable demographic dividend means maximum number of people of a particular country will lie under a working age group. That is between the age group of 15 to 59 years. So working age group is age group from 15 years to 59 years. And when the maximum number of people or maximum composition, maximum percentage of population of a particular country lie in this favorable working age group, then that country is called the favorable demographic dividend, and India lies in that part. More than 60 to 65% of India's population will comes under the working age group, and near about 20 to 22% is under the child age group, that is from 0 to 15 years of age group, and rest 15 to 17% lies under older age group. And these both older age group of population or the child age group of population are the dependent. These are considered as dependent population, and rest 15 to 59 years of population is considered as a independent population. So now you can understand that why India is considered to be in favorable demographic dividend, because major proportion or major percentage of India's population lies in a working age group, and in that too 10 to 19 year age group of population is considered to be adolescent, and 15 to 29 years of population is considered to be the youth population. So this adolescent and the youth group is considered to be the future of India or future of favorable demographic dividend. So that's why it is important aspects of population growth to look into these future India's population, that is adolescent group and youth group. So adolescent group, as I already told you, is group of 10 to 19 years will constitute 21% of India's population according to 2011 census, and out of those 21%, approximately 21%, and out of those 21%, 52.7% is the male adolescent, and rest 47.3% are female adolescent. So the adolescent population through regarded as the youthful population having a high potential. So we used to consider it that it is future population, or it is the youth which we need to nurture to look or to get benefited in the future. So these are the group of population or the part of the population which is having a very high potential, but at the same time they are quite vulnerable if not guided and channelized properly. अगर यूथ ब्रिगेड को, अगर एडोलेसेंट पॉपुलेशन को 10 to 19 ईयर्स एज ग्रुप ऑफ एडोलेसेंट को अगर हम प्रॉपरली चैनलाइज ना करें, प्रॉपरली गाइड ना करें, उन्हें प्रॉपर एजुकेशन ना मिले, देन क्या होगा, वे रॉन्ग डीड्स में, रॉन्ग वेज में मूव अहेड कर जाएंगे, गलत काम करना शुरू कर देंगे, एंड दिस विल हैव अ वेरी लार्ज कॉस्ट over the society and country as a whole. So this is the challenge for the society as far as these adolescents are concerned, to look into these age group people so that they can be channelized or guided to gain the proper knowledge and skills, so that will benefit a country or the society as a whole. So the challenges for the society are, the major challenges are the lower age at marriages. If lower age of marriages, if the adolescent people or the youth people are get married at a younger age, so they will not able to utilize the untapped potential which they can, in case they are freed open to gain their overall development in terms of literacy or in terms of education, higher education. So untapped potential of these youth or the adolescent people have to look after, and for that one of the major aspect is to increase the average age of marriages. Illiteracy, particularly female female illiteracy is one of the important challenge for the society to look into the adolescent age group. School dropouts, low intake of nutrients, so all these are related things. If they get married at the early age, they are not able to untap their potential, and that's why they have to look for some sort of employment and income part instead of gaining education and untapping their potential and level of development. So that's why one more thing I want to add up here, that in India there is more than 30% of the people living below the poverty line. So these people not having a proper channel for income generation, they are poor people. So that's why family members or the children or the adolescent or the youth member of these below poverty line people needs to stop their studies, will get school dropout in search of income and employment, and overall there is a huge loss to the future of the country or the society. So we need to check, society has a challenge to check these school dropouts, particularly female illiteracy is one of the major challenges. When the adolescent group will not able to even gain their literacy or the education, that means there is certain kind of income related problem. So in that case they will not able to get their nutrient supplements, especially the girl childs or girl adolescent. There is a major problem of malnutrition in such age group of girl adolescent. So these things need to be checked, and these are the challenges for the society. High rate of maternal mortality in adolescent mother, high rate of HIV and AIDS and related infectious diseases, physical and mental disability or retardedness. यंग एज में अगर टेंशन हो जाएगा और मेंटल रिलेटेड इशू हो जाएगा तो मेंटल डिसेबिलिटी और रिटार्डेडनेस होने के भी चांसेस बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ जाएंगे. और इस टाइम में यंग ब्रिगेड, स्पेशली द एडोलेसेंट एज ग्रुप पीपल यूज टू मूव टूवर्ड्स ड्रग abuse, alcoholism, juvenile delinquency, means they used to do habituated in the criminal activities and commits crimes, etc. These are the challenges for the society. Society need to look and overcome these issues to see India or to look India's future in the overall economic or productive age group or overall production of the adolescent age group. In view of these things, Government of India has undertaken certain policies, and Government of India has come up with some sort of policy programs related with youth people or the adolescent people, proper education of adolescent groups so that their talents are better nurtured, channelized, properly utilized. And to do these things, Government of India has come up with National Youth Policy, which is one of the example and has been designed to look into the overall development of these adolescent and large youth and adolescent population. ओके, तो इन लोगों के लिए स्पेशली एडोलेसेंट एंड यूथ पॉपुलेशन के लिए गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने एक पॉलिसी के साथ कम अप आया है, नेशनल यूथ पॉलिसी के साथ. द अर्लियर एट द फर्स्ट टाइम इन 2003 गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हैज कम अप विथ नेशनल यूथ पॉलिसी ऑफ 2003. अंडर दैट पॉलिसी government has a focus or a stress on the overall round improvement of the adolescent population, enabling these adolescent people or adolescent age group to shoulder responsibility towards the constructive development of the country. And that 2003 National Youth Policy also aims at reinforcing the quality of patriotism and responsible citizenship in the youth brigade. There was a thrust in that policy of 2003 that youth empowerment in terms of their effective participation in the decision making and carrying the responsibility of able leaders. So that was the aim, that some sort of leadership quality should be nurtured so that youth people will able to get a proper decision making, took part in overall development and shoulder the responsibility towards the constructive development of the society and the country. Special emphasis was there in 2003 policy towards the empowering women and the girl child, and deliberate efforts were made to look into the youth health. Why youth health? Because if you are not healthy, then you will not able to work properly. So to get the full efficiency of anybody, one must be fully healthy. There should not be any health related issue. So some sort of sports related recreation, some sort of creativity and awareness are the steps, welcome steps, measured steps taken under the youth policy of 2003. This National Youth Policy of 2003 will further amended in form of new National Youth Policy of 2014, which was launched in February 2014. And the purpose of this National Youth Policy of 2014 was the holistic vision of the youth of India, which is to empower the youth of the country to achieve their full potential. जो भी उनका अनटैप्ड पोटेंशियल है उसको फुल्ली ऑप्टिमली यूटिलाइज करने के लिए और उनको अनेबल करने के लिए कि इंडिया उनके फुल पोटेंशियल को अनटैप्ड करने के लिए, and through them enable India to find its rightful place in the community of nations. So अगर उनके अनटैप्ड पोटेंशियल को हम फुल्ली यूटिलाइज कर पाएंगे, देन इंडिया का फ्यूचर सिक्योर हो पाएगा. और इफ इंडिया का फ्यूचर सिक्योर हो पाएगा तो इंडिया इज ऑलरेडी इन अ फेवरेबल डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड, and if we able to nurture these youth and adolescent population, then our future will be bright and we will get a rightful place in the community of different nation on the world level. So National Youth Policy 2014 defined youth as a person. That 2014 policy has given a separate segregation for youth, and it has given the age group of 15 to 29 years. It considered 29 years up to 29 years as the youth population. So this was in light of the recent development and amendments where right now nowadays that average mean average age of marriages will be on the upper side. For boys it is around 28 to 30 years, and for girls even it is around more than 25 years nowadays. So in sight of that, and to get the full to give the full time to these adolescent and youth population so that they will be able to fully utilize their untapped potential, this new youth policy of 2014 has defined youth as a person having an age group of 15 to 29 years. The government of India also formulated some of the national policy for skill development. Here under the Prime Ministership of Narendra Modi, you have also seen that he is giving a full attention to the skill development for the younger people for the youth brigade of India. So skill development programs are there, entrepreneurship programs are there. So ये सारी चीजें नरेंद्र मोदी के अंदर चल रहा है. स्किल इंडिया प्रोग्राम इंटरप्रेन्योर के लिए क्या चल रहा है बताओ? मेनली इंटरप्रेन्योरशिप डेवलप करने के लिए जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने न्यू प्लान लॉन्च किया है, कौन सा है? बोलिए, कुछ याद आ रहा है आप लोग को? व्हाट इट इज ऑल अबाउट? फॉर डेवलपिंग इंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, इट इज द Startup India program. Government of India has developed or have come up with Startup India program, which is especially for the development of new entrepreneurship. There is skill development program also running from this Narendra Modi government, and these are to provide an umbrella framework to all skilling activity being carried out within the countries. Means this will work as a umbrella program under the overall framework of this umbrella program. All the different smaller segregated programs are linked and to align these to a common standard and link skilling with demand center. So under these are the recent initiative taken by new government related with National Youth and Skill India development related activities. From the above discussions we can see it here that growth rate of population is widely variant over the space and time in the country. Means time wise, space wise is very there is lot of variation in growth rate of population or growth rate of India. Also, this is also highlighting various social problems related to growth of population. However, in order to have a better insight into the growth pattern of the population, it is necessary to look into the social composition of the society, social composition of population. So there is a lot of variation throughout the space and time, and there is in order to have a better insight into the overall growth pattern of the population, we need to look at the social composition of the society or social composition of the population. So we are going to start our next topic, which is the population composition. So population composition in a distinct field of study within population geography, with a vast coverage of analysis of age and sex, place of residence, ethnic characteristics, tribes, languages, regional, marital status, literacy and education, occupational characteristics, etc. Means under the population composition, which is a distinct or a separate field of study under the population geography, we will going to analyze about the age and sex, different age groups, sex ratios, these things, place of residence means place of birth or some sort of place of origins, place of destination, place of settlement. Okay, then ethnic characteristics. Ethnic is on the basis of languages. There is distinction in the society on the basis of language, and language related distinction characteristics is called ethnic characteristics. Then tribe based composition throughout the country, then language, religion based, marital status of the society, average mean age of the society, literacy and education, all these things we will going to read under the population composition. Here in this chapter, mainly our study point, mainly our study concentrated to rural urban characteristics, language, religion and pattern of occupation. Okay, कि यूथ ब्रिगेड किस टाइप के एक्टिविटीज़ में, इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी किस टाइप के एम्प्लॉयमेंट में इंगेज्ड है, on the basis of religion, what are the division of the society, different groups. The Indian society is divided into different groups on the basis of the religion or under the religion, that we will look into. Then on the basis of language, the division of society. Then rural urban characteristics are the major study area under this chapter. So first of all, we are starting with rural urban composition. So what is that rural urban composition? So let's start this topic. What it is all about, the rural urban composition. So what it is, just say it here. Composition of population by their respective places of residence is an important indicator of the social and economic characteristics. It is saying that the people living in the urban area, or the people, or the maximum percentage of population living in a urban area or the rural area will be the indicator of the social and economic development of the society. If more number of people is living in the urban area, that means the overall the society is comparatively developed. When more number of people, or the more percentage of the people living in the rural area or residing in the rural area, that means society is comparatively remote or comparatively backward. This will become more significant in the country like India, where more than 69, approximately 68.8, that is approximately 69% of the total population lives in village area. This is in accordance with 2011 census. In India, more than 69%, approximately 69% of the total population lives in village area. So total number of villages in India according to 2011 census is approximately 6,40,900 villages are there in India, out of which more than 93, approximately 93.2%, more than 5,97,000 villages are inhabited villages. Means out of total 6,40,000 villages in India, approximately 6 lakh villages are inhabited. Other villages may be that they are not that much supportive to overall development of the society in that part. Few peoples maybe that few peoples are residing in this area, but overall climate or overall village is not suitable for habitation. Such a village like in some of the villages are in desert area or harsh climatic region of Western Himalaya, on the hilly sides. So these villages, maybe few people are even residing in these area too, but these villages are not suitable for habitation. So out of total 6,40,000 villages in India according to 2011 census, approximately 6 lakh are like to be inhabited. Okay? So but even then, in all these approximately 5,97,000 inhabited villages, the distribution of rural population is not uniform throughout the country. So some states like Bihar and Sikkim, here for example it's showing that Bihar and Sikkim have very high percentage of rural population. So few of the states are having a very high percentage of rural population. The example is here Bihar and Sikkim, whereas some states like Goa and Maharashtra have only very little or just only little over the half of their total population residing in villages. Means some population like Bihar, some states like Bihar and Odisha have approximately 75 to 80% or even up to 90% of the population residing in the rural area, whereas Goa and Maharashtra has just nearly half of its population living in the rural area, whereas other half, approximately other half, will living in the urban area. That means that these kind of states like Goa and Maharashtra having a large percentage of population living in urban area, and these states are mostly urbanized, and degree of urbanization is increasing census to census. If we compare the level of urbanization of 2001 census and compare it with the 2011 census, you will find that there is slight increase in level of urbanization in India. In case of small UTs, union territories, you will get more or less, all the UTs are having a more urban population. There is some exception here. It is given Dadar and Nagar Haveli is approximately 53.38% of these Dadar and Nagar Haveli union territory is having a population of rural population. It's approximately 53% of DNH have rural population, and at the same time nearly 47% have urban population. So here is just an exception in case of Dadar and Nagar Haveli, that this UT had more a rural population as compared to other UTs which are more a urban population. The size of villages also vary considerably. So few area of India में आप पाएंगे कि 200% नियरली 200 लोगों का एक विलेज हो जाता है, लाइक इन हिल स्टेट्स ऑफ नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न इंडिया, नॉर्थ ईस्ट के हिली रीजन के विलेजेस में अगर आप जाओगे, वेस्टर्न राजस्थान के डेजर्ट विलेजेस में जाओगे, रन ऑफ कच्छ के डेजर्ट एरियाज में आप जाओगे, और आप माउंटेनियस रीजन में जाओगे, हिमालय के लद्दाख, इन सब रीजन में जाओगे, तो यू विल गेट दैट 200 लोगों का एक विलेज होता है. एक विलेज में 200 लोगों के विलेज इज कंपेरेटिवली constitute a very less number of population. Approximately 200% constitute a single villages. But on the same time, if you go into the denser region or denser part of India, you will get even large, up to 70,000 people or 17,000 persons constitute a single village, like in the states of Kerala, Bihar, Maharashtra, West Bengal. Okay. Through a thorough examination of pattern of distribution of rural population of India, it reveals that both at intra-state or interstate level, intra-state means within a state, interstate means between two states. So it is revealed that both at intra-state and interstate level, the relative degree of urbanization and extent of rural-urban migration regulates the concentration of rural population. Okay, so ये दो चीज जो हैं ये रूरल पॉपुलेशन के परसेंटेज को और कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ रूरल पॉपुलेशन को रेगुलेट करता है. फर्स्ट थिंग इज द डिग्री ऑफ अर्बनाइजेशन इन द कंट्री और डिग्री ऑफ अर्बनाइजेशन इन अ पर्टिकुलर एरिया, स्टेट, रीजन, और सेकंड इज रूरल टू अर्बन माइग्रेशन इन अ पर्टिकुलर रीजन ऑफ द country. Why it is so? If you look into the 2001 census, you will find that nearly 27.32% of the India's population are urbanized. Means total urban concentration of India's population is approximately 27%. Whereas here it is, you can see it, according to 2011 census, the urban population, proportion of urban population will reach around 31.16%. Means within a 10 year, last 10 year, that is between 2001 to 2011 census, there is a increase of 4% of proportion of urban population in India. Even according to the 2011 census, this 31.16% of the urban population is quite, but it is showing a much faster rate of growth over a decade. 27% से 31%, हम लोग approximately 4% there is an increase of 4% of urbanization throughout the India in terms of percentage during the last decade or between the last census. Nowadays it is approximately around 35%. The growth rate of urban population has accelerated. तो ये अर्बन पॉपुलेशन का जो ग्रोथ रेट अभी इतने 4% विद इन अ डिकेड बढ़ा और नेक्स्ट डिकेड में फिर 4 to 5%. देयर इज अ चांसेस ऑफ इंक्रीज ऑफ अर्बनाइजेशन ऑफ 4 to 5%, इवन अप टू 6-7%. So this is only because of this acceleration of urbanization is only because of enhanced economic development and improvement in health and hygiene condition in the urban centers. इसका रीजन हम पहले भी पढ़ चुके थे. फर्स्ट थिंग इज माइग्रेशन. माइग्रेशन क्यों होगा? माइग्रेशन विल ओनली हैपेंस व्हेन एट द पॉइंट ऑफ और द प्लेस ऑफ destination, means in case of migration at the place of destination, if there is a better facility and other development like employment opportunities there, better educational facilities there, better standard of living is there, then in such cases people used to migrate to a point of destination from the place of origin. So one of the major reason is that. Second is the first one is the rate of urbanization in this area, and second is the medical and hygiene condition or hygiene facility in the urban or urbanized area. So due to attraction of these things, due to this pull factor, people used to move towards the urban, and the degree of urbanization is increasing year by year, and that will shown through the census, or the level of urbanization increases in last or between the last two census. So it is shown from the index. Here it is mentioning about in appendix 4 or 4A. So from this appendix it is, you can notice it from these appendix that the almost in all the states and union territory there has been a considerable increase of urban population over the last census. This indicates both that development of urban area in terms of socio-economic condition and an increased rate of rural urban migration. This is showing the both thing. First is socio-economically development of a particular state or the throughout there is an overall holistic socio-economic development or socio-economic condition, improving the socio-economic condition of the country as a whole on the holistic level, and there is also increase in the rate of rural urban migration. These two things is the evidence in support of the degree of increase in the degree of urbanization in the latest census. So with year to year, these two things depicts that we are or helping or giving the evidences in support of increasing urbanization over year to year. Rural to urban migration is conspicuous in the case of urban area along the main road links and rail road in the northern Indian plains and the industrial area around Kolkata, Mumbai, Bengaluru, all the modern developed or major cities of India. That is, with the development of the transportation linkage and channels throughout the major or between the major cities within a city, means at the intra-city level or inter-city level, will help in the development of the urbanization around these urban centers. So this is one of the major reason for the rural urban migration. Why? Because these area will develop as a urban center. Besides that, it also developed as a industrial center, All the industry used to set up or come up in these area, so people in search of employment and better lifestyle or better standard of living used to migrate into these urban areas. So this is the major reason for the increasing trend of urbanization in India. Besides that, agriculturally stagnant part of the middle and lower Ganga plains, Telangana, non-irrigated western Rajasthan, remote hilly tribal areas of northeast along the flood plains area of peninsular India and along the eastern part of Madhya Pradesh, the degree of urbanization remain low. So these area, the above industrial center or the urban center with industrial development shows the trend, or in these area the degree of urbanization increases year to year, whereas the area like middle or lower Ganga plain, which is self-reliant for agricultural community and people residing in these area were agriculturally stagnant, and these part people used to enjoy their lives in agriculture itself. Other areas like Telangana, non-irrigated western Rajasthan, these area does not have any sort of development or remote hilly region. There is no well connectivity of transportation. Tribal areas of northeast and the Chhattisgarh state of India, there is no well connectivity, and people used to preserve their tribal culture. And also the flood prone areas of peninsular India and the eastern part of Madhya Pradesh are lagging behind, and all these areas are lagging behind in terms of urbanization because of different reasons. As I already told, middle and Ganga plain are self-reliant in agriculture itself. Telangana, non-agricultural western region, remote hilly region, tribal region, these are not developed because of no better connectivity through the transportation networks and no coming up of the industrial setup in these area. Besides that, few of the tribal people used to or likes to conserve their culture in their own place of origin, and that's why, and the flood plains of few of the peninsular part of the India, eastern part of Madhya Pradesh, etc. are lagging behind in terms of urbanization in India. So this is all about the overall development regarding to urbanization and related issue, rural urban related issue. Now the next topic which we will discuss is linguistic composition. It is all about the division or the composition of India on the basis of languages. So under the linguistic composition, we will study this topic in the next class as the time is already running out. So I hope that you guys are enjoying the video lectures given by me. If there is any doubt, you can place your comments under the Google Classroom. Assignments are also updated time to time. You need to do these things and submit it back. Video links are already said how you need to submit the assignment. You will get a proper remarks over those things. So okay, let's bye bye. See you in the next class.